The only thing in the room with them was a mysterious golden idol of a naked woman with her lower half made of 8 tentacles instead of legs.
Welcome to another video. Leo title inasema 10 unexplained monster sightings during wartime. So sijui anything about this video, and without wasting any more time, wacha tuende kwa video.
Hi, it's Katrina. Number 10. The Red Giant of Kandahar. There is a rumor that the US government allegedly killed a 13-foot giant with red hair and then covered it up. This beast has become known as the Giant of Kandahar, a legendary creature who dwelled in the Rocky Mountains and hidden caves of the Afghan highlands. The bizarre event supposedly went down in 2002. It all started when an army squadron went missing and a special task force was sent into the region to discover their whereabouts. As the soldiers were moving along a ragged mountain trail searching for their comrades, they arrived at the entrance of a mysterious cave. It was at the mouth of the dark cave where they discovered military equipment and gear belonging to the lost squad. They were preparing to enter when a giant humanoid beast appeared from the rocks. It had long red hair like fire and 6 fingers on each hand. It was wearing animal hide like moccasin covers on its feet for protection and smelled like dead bodies. The giant wielded a primitive spear and hurled it at the group, impaling one of the members. But even the giant was no match for a group of skilled soldiers with M4 carbines. They unleashed fire for a full 30 seconds before it went down. Then the creature's body was reportedly airlifted back to base by helicopter, taken away by a team of men, and never seen again. The Department of Defense has no record of the incident. Most people believe it to be a hoax, and there is no way to prove whether a real red-haired giant really was living in secret up in the mountains. There is a high possibility the story could be nothing but an urban legend born during wartime. Number 9.
A giant, eh? Nadhani unaweza meet a giant. Unaweza meet a giant, what would you do? Lakini hii probably ni kama vile amesema legend, juu nataka kusema kunaweza kuwa na giants hii hujaipata, like 10 foot 12 foot giants mtu hajaiona ama haijarekodiwa anywhere. Right, but that is very large.
Ghosts in Vietnam. In the Vietnam War, one of the worst jobs was being a tunnel rat. Tunnel rats were troops ordered to crawl through North Vietnamese army tunnels hidden underneath the ground of the forest. These tunnels were often used as secret bases for the Viet Cong. Hundreds of soldiers could be hidden underground, and they could ambush American troops as they moved through the jungle. The only way into these awful tunnels was through sewer-like openings, and those openings were not easy to find. When one was discovered, tunnel rats had to crawl through suffocatingly claustrophobic passages down into the larger hideouts below, then eradicate the hostile forces within. The story you're about to hear is unconfirmed, told by a terminally ill Vietnam veteran who had allegedly kept it to himself his entire life. But on his deathbed, he published his story online so that he didn't have to take it with him to his grave. He and his partner were crawling through one of the deepest Viet Cong tunnels they had ever seen. They arrived at the bottom in the main chamber and were shocked to see that nobody was inside. There was a lit oil lamp, but no booby traps and no people, but the tunnel wasn't finished. Underneath the tarp, they found a set of stone stairs, which looked as though they were ancient. They had clearly not been built by the modern Vietnamese, but had been carved out of the earth centuries before. When the American soldiers got to the bottom of the staircase, they found a bunker with about 10 Vietnamese people sitting against the wall. They looked like zombies, with blank expressions as if they were all in a coma. The only thing in the room with them was a mysterious golden idol of a naked woman, with her lower half made of 8 tentacles instead of legs. It was all very confusing and horrifying, and in the end, the soldiers chose to destroy the tunnel. As they were leaving with the zombified Vietnamese, they allegedly heard the voice of a woman calling out to them from the room with the creepy idol. They used C4 to collapse the tunnel, and nobody has ever been able to explain what really happened. Number 8.
I think ilikuwa tu sidhani unaweza trust the words of terminally ill patient but or alikuwa anataka ule, kuna mtu alikuwa around him alikuwa anataka kumake do na hiyo story, make a few books but pesa kidogo from this dying old man, or I might be wrong and I think it will happen, but we will never know.
The Japanese Tengu. In Japanese folklore, the Tengu is a flying humanoid creature responsible for bringing storms, kidnapping people, and causing supernatural mischief. Following the end of World War II, a soldier named Private Sinclair Taylor was camped somewhere near Kyoto, Japan. It was late at night, and Sinclair had guard duty. He was watching the moonlight, everything was quiet and peaceful, and he stopped to light a cigarette. That was when he heard the loud gush of wings above him. He looked up at the dark sky and saw what can only be described as a flying monstrosity. It was bigger than any bird the private had ever seen. It descended from the moon itself, a creature with massive wings and the bodily features of a man. Sinclair fired his rifle at the beast, but as he did so, it simply vanished. His sergeant quickly rushed to his position and asked about the gunfire, and Sinclair was forced to tell him what he had seen. But his sergeant wasn't even that skeptical. He took the matter very seriously, suggesting that he too had seen something similar while stationed in Japan. He even searched the area looking for the creature, but nobody at the camp ever saw it again. Number 7.
So basically aliona an angel or some, na the first instinct aliona shoot, lakini ilikuwa wartime, so probably admin ke shoot, or maybe alikuwa too drunk, ama ni a fake story ama ni real, but ni interesting kusikia these kinds of stories.
The Moorbach Monster. The Moorbach Monster dates back to the 19th century in Germany. The first known sighting was in the Wittlich area in the 1810s. The creature has been described as a werewolf or a dogman, although nobody is really sure what it is. The creature supposedly began its life as a soldier named Thomas Schweitzer in Napoleon Bonaparte's army. He was stationed in Moscow in 1812 when the city was set ablaze and Napoleon's army was decimated by disease and starvation. Like many soldiers, Thomas deserted. On his way back to France, he joined a group of Russian deserters. They strolled into the village of Wittlich, where they raided a farmhouse and murdered the family. In her final moments, the farmer's wife put a curse on Thomas Schweitzer. She damned him to change into a monster on each full moon. And ever since then, a hairy beast has been seen prowling the forest of this rural German region. Some say the Moorbach monster is Thomas transformed. Some say it's just a large species of wolf. Do you believe in werewolves? Let us know in the comments below. Number 6.
Werewolves ni something sijawahi believe in, na huyo the mother or the woman ambaye supposedly put a curse on the soldier. Sidhani ingekuwa na time ya kuspecify how the curse would work, so definitely sidhani hiyo ilikuwa true. Amongst all the creatures were mentioned hapa, you need the least I could believe in, but yeah, mostly I think it ilikuwa to a large wolf, so yeah, that's what I think.
Old Green Eyes. It was during the American Civil War that soldiers reportedly witnessed a ghoul that became known as Old Green Eyes. At the Battle of Chickamauga, which took place in September of 1863, on the border of Tennessee and Georgia, things were bloody and terrifying. It was the second bloodiest battle in the Civil War, second only to the Battle of Gettysburg. But while blood was being spilled on the battlefield, a ghoulish creature of malice and evil was coming out of its hiding place. Long before Europeans ever landed in the New World, this creature had allegedly been haunting the land. Tales of the creature have been told by Native Americans for centuries, although nobody really knows where the legend originated. Old Green Eyes is so ancient that its origins have been lost. Following the gruesome battle, the ghoul was allegedly seen pulling corpses off the field and carrying them away into the swampy woods. Multiple soldiers reported seeing a humanoid creature with bright green eyes, a deformed jaw, and massive fangs. The same creature has been witnessed multiple times since, especially in the 1970s. Some say there really is a ghoul living along the border. Others say the creature from Chickamauga was only a deformed person, someone who had already been living in isolation in the forest. Number 5. The paranormal encounters of Afghanistan. A Marine who served in Afghanistan and Yemen from between 2009 and 2013 witnessed some strange paranormal activity while in the field. It was 1 o'clock in the morning, and the unnamed Marine had just finished setting up a patrol base. In front of the base was a large open field and an Afghan cemetery to the left. While the men in his squad slept, he stood at the front of the base and kept watch. While on guard, a rock came hurtling out of nowhere and landed at his feet. It seemed that someone out there in the darkness of the cemetery had thrown the stone. But he couldn't see anyone, and his vantage was wide open. There was no way someone could have been hiding, not even among the graves. After a second rock was thrown, the soldier put on his night vision equipment. Still, he couldn't pick up any infrared heat signatures. Then a third rock was thrown at him. There wasn't a single person out there and nothing but the bodies of the dead hiding underneath the dirt. And yet something, perhaps a spirit, was throwing rocks. The Marine never did get to the bottom of the mystery, and that night haunted him the rest of his time overseas. Number 4.
What I think happened most likely ni alikuwa anataka tu ka story, alijitengenezea ka story pali, akaenda akaambia his friends kuwastua kuona their reactions, lakini yani wakacheka waka make fun of this idea, ika spread. Maybe kakitu tu alianza ka tu jokes, lakini I doubt ili happen, ama alikuwa medoza akaanza kuona vitu zake.
The White River Monster. The White River Monster is said to live near Newport in Arkansas. As far as the historical records show, the first sightings and reports of a strange creature in the White River came in 1912. That was when a group of timber workers spotted what they thought was a gigantic turtle downstream. It was so big that at first, they thought it was a floating boulder, only to realize it was green and had what appeared to be a shell. Over the next 15 years, there were all kinds of stories about something strange living in the White River. In 1937, the story became national news. A farmer said he had witnessed an unbelievably large creature about 6 miles from Newport. The reports were so promising that the town was flooded with tourists trying to catch a glimpse of the mysterious beast. Moving on to the unofficial records, this very same creature was allegedly responsible for the sinking of a gunboat during the Civil War. While Old Green Eyes was pillaging bodies from the battlefield, the White River Monster was busy fighting boats. There are no official accounts of this, but rumors of the incidents can be found in Arkansas to this very day. Number 3.
I think you're amongst all the monsters up, I think inaweza kuwa very minutely possible ilikuwa true. Juu a giant turtle ina sound like more believable, lakini then again ingekuwa spotted, kungekuwa na records pali, hamwezi fake kitu kama hiyo. Maybe ilikuwa tu a cool story kupata tourists. Hawezi jua.
Bigfoot at Camp Pendleton. The Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization records, catalogs, and keeps track of every Bigfoot sighting that takes place in the United States. Report number 2907 was submitted on July 27, 2001. The witness was a soldier at Camp Pendleton, and he and 3 of his comrades allegedly confronted what they believed to be a Bigfoot monster during a nightly training exercise. According to those who made the report, the man and his team were in the hills near Camp Pendleton, the nearest town being Oceanside, California. They were at infantry training camp together and had dug into a large hill in anticipation of an enemy attack. As they waited, the 4 soldiers heard something coming up from the side of the mountain. They could hear rocks rolling down, as something large moved across the unstable terrain. As soon as the beast came into view, the soldiers knew it was not part of their exercise. The creature was gigantic, standing in the dark and looming much larger than any man. The creature supposedly had long arms and a pointy skull. The soldiers didn't move at all. They watched the creature as it passed them by and held their breath until it was gone. Once it left, the four discussed what they had seen to make sure none of them were crazy. They had all seen the same beast, and they all agreed to keep it to themselves. But one of the witnesses felt like the story had to be told, and so he reached out to the Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization to share his experience. Number 2.
Bigfoot, very doubtful. By the way, mshaiona hizi video zilikuwa zinakuja National Geographic ama ilikuwa one of those channels kuhusu Bigfoot, ilikuwa inakuja sijui kila weekend. Walikuwa wanatafuta traces, wanaona kaki footprint, wana track down, and over the years, not even once walipata the Bigfoot. Ilikuwa show about Bigfoots, ilikuwa ina run for so long, lakini hakuna any results walikuwa wanapata. Hiyo ndio ka Bigfoot ingekuwa exist, angekuwa shapatwa a long time ago. So I really doubt waliona kile walisema waliona. Walikuwa wanataka tu a cool story. I always trust a word of like anyone, as a fact. Maybe wange record or something, but try not kwa hizi video kunanga recordings and kunanga anything. Ilikuwa inakuanga tu word of mouth.
The rock apes of Vietnam. Rock apes are the Vietnamese version of Bigfoot monsters. They aren't nearly as well known as the North American Bigfoot, but they are just as likely to be real. Or not. Up to you. The mysterious creatures were witnessed multiple times by American troops as they struggled through the jungles of Vietnam during the war. What really separates the rock apes from other strange creatures seen during wartime is the sheer number of witnesses. We don't know exactly how many soldiers saw the rock apes, but it was enough to make their existence at least plausible. Sure, not a single clear picture of one was ever taken. No corpse or piece of hair has ever been found, but still they are supposedly out there to this very day in the deepest jungles of Southeast Asia. American soldiers describe them as being about 6 feet tall, strong and sturdy, and covered in reddish hair. They supposedly live in small family groups, far away from human habitation. One explanation is that the American soldiers didn't see any monsters, but came across orangutans in the jungle. Orangutans are bigger than people, they are covered in reddish hair, and once lived across Thailand, Vietnam, and China, so it would make sense. It's quite possible that the soldiers simply witnessed some of the last orangutans left in Vietnam. Number 1. Dog-headed warfare. The Lombards were outnumbered by their neighbors in Germania. They were a wandering tribe that originated in Scandinavia and migrated south between roughly 376 and 476 AD. They went on to rule a huge portion of the Italian peninsula from 568 to 774. They did this even though they were very few and hardly able to defend themselves from their more aggressive and stronger neighbors. In the early days of Europe, tribal warfare was no laughing matter, but the Lombards prevailed using trickery and superstition to their advantage. It all started early on in their migration, when they came into conflict with their neighbors, the Asipiti. The Lombards resorted to psychological warfare. They spread rumors which traveled into the enemy camp that they had dog-headed creatures called cynocephali fighting for them. Cynocephali were legendary creatures who had the bodies of men, but the heads of dogs. They had already been around for hundreds of years, and plenty of tribes in Europe believed in these savage warriors. According to the ancient historian Paul the Deacon, the Lombards' trickery worked, and the Asipiti left them alone. The larger, more powerful tribe was too afraid they would be torn to shreds by human-dog hybrids that fought like demons. Would you be scared? Let me know in the comments below.
So they were very smart. Walitumia the environment and history to win the war. So very inventive. Yeah, that was a nice compilation, and thank you for sticking through the video at the upper, and yeah, thank you for watching. And I upload almost daily, and yeah, if you want more videos mniambie, na if you like the video, like, subscribe. If not, si lazima. And yeah, see you in the next video.
Kick.